this series, I'm going to be talking about many things around grief. But the whole purpose is to let you know that grief and recovery from grief is a journey to feel deeply and heal fully. In this episode, we're going to take a look at something that is very confusing to people, and that's stages or phases of grief. And you may be grieving and wondering whether or not you're doing it right. And I'm here to tell you that every single human being grieves uniquely in their own special way. So I want to start by giving you permission to grieve in the way that you need, what feels right to you. But let's take a look at the most common stages of grief. You may know them as Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief. They are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, or DABNA for short. And they were originally designed by Kubler-Ross to be an example of a process that a person goes through who has received catastrophic news about their impending death. In other words, they've received news that they're going to die soon. Now, in that context, DABNA really works. You can see how one might be in denial that they have the disease or that they're even going to die, or why they may be angry about having to die too soon, or why they may bargain with God for saving their life and giving them more time. And then as the acceptance process moves forward, they start to get depressed until finally at the end, they're willing to accept what's going to happen and move forward. But does that really work for someone who has a loved one who's died? Well, think about it a moment. Does denial really work? I mean, certainly you've seen your loved one in a casket, or you have their ashes, or you know someone like the doctor has told you that they're dead. I have yet to meet someone who's in denial about a loss of another human being. What they might be in denial about, however, are their feelings. And then we have anger. Not everybody is angry when someone dies. We talked about earlier how there's other feelings involved, that you can have multiple conflicting feelings. And sometimes they're angry, but not all the time. Some people are relieved. Some people are sad. Some people are happy. All kinds of feelings happen. But anger isn't the only one. And then we have bargaining. It's not like we can bargain with God to raise our loved one from the dead. So bargaining is a really tough one to make fit in a process of grieving a loss. And of course, there's depression. And as I mentioned earlier, grief isn't a pathology. It's not a diagnosis. You can get depressed. You may have a predisposition for depression. But just because you're grieving doesn't mean you're depressed. And the last one, acceptance. Acceptance is kind of strange. It's like denial. Acceptance happens automatically when we know that a loved one has died. So the acceptance that they're talking about here isn't one of whether or not you believe that they're dead. It's really about an acceptance of a process. That we have feelings in that process, that we work through those feelings, that we approach this with an understanding that things will get better. And I think that's the best way to understand acceptance. It's simply that you're willing to walk this journey with someone else to a better place where you fully heal. I've had people come to me and they've said, Brent, I'm not sure I'm doing all of the stages correctly because I haven't gone in the order, or I haven't had anger, or I don't even know what bargaining means. So maybe I'm not doing this right. And they're almost in a panic because they want so much to feel better. And they think that following the stages is going to make them feel better. But I'm here to tell you it won't. What will make you feel better is doing this work on an emotional level and coming to a very different place at the end of this process. We talked a little bit about that, called recovery. So things like Kubler-Ross's stages and others that are out there doing the same, they mean well, but it isn't always very helpful. And if you've been struggling with it, I want you to know it is okay just to let it go and to follow your own path. And how do you tell other people how to listen? So let me remind you that grief is a journey. It's an emotional journey in which you feel deeply and heal fully. As we progress on this journey, we're going to be looking at, in the next episode, how to talk about your feelings and about the experiences you're going through, about your loss. How do you do that with someone else in a way that will be helpful to you? And how do you tell other people how to listen?